What if I told you that every free app you use, every social platform, every cloud service, every game, every convenience you tap on without thinking is quietly draining something far more valuable than money? Most people think they're just dodging subscription fees, but the truth is the price you're paying is hidden, constant, and way more expensive in the long run. Feeling overwhelmed by pop-ups, creepy targeted ads, or that weird sensation that your phone somehow knows too much about you. That's not a glitch. That's the cost. See, the digital world trained us to believe that free is normal. Google? Free. Instagram? Free. TikTok? Free. YouTube? Free. But behind those friendly icons is a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem built on a simple truth. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And the currency? Your data, your attention, your habits, your interests, your identity, and sometimes even your future choices. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the illusion of free. We'll uncover what you're actually giving up, who's profiting from it, and how you can take back control without deleting all the tools you love. Because once you understand the real value exchange happening behind the screen, you'll never look at free the same way again. Chapter 1. The Myth of Free, Why We Fell for It. For as long as the internet has existed, we've been conditioned to think of digital tools as limitless, abundant, and, most importantly, free. Open a browser, download an app, create an account, all without ever taking out your wallet. It feels normal now, almost expected. But that expectation didn't happen by accident. In the early days of the web, free was the growth strategy. Websites wanted traffic. Platforms wanted users. Startups wanted to scale fast. Charging money was a barrier, so they removed it. What they didn't remove, what they never even mentioned, was the cost hidden beneath the surface. And we bought into it. All of us. Why? Because psychologically, free hits the brain like a dopamine bomb. Neuroscience shows that humans love anything labeled free, even when the free option is worse. It feels like we're getting away with something, like we're winning. No friction, no hesitation, no evaluating price tags. Just instant access. But here's the thing. Free creates blindness. It shuts down critical thinking. It hides the trade-offs. It makes us forget that companies, especially tech companies, don't survive on generosity. They survive on profits. And if they're not getting money from you directly, they're getting something else. This chapter is about recognizing the illusion we all grew up with. Because once you understand how cleverly the myth of free was constructed and how deeply it shaped your digital habits, you'll start to see the entire online world differently. The apps you use, the content you consume, the notifications you get, the way you behave online. All of it has been influenced by a system built to make free feel harmless. But it isn't. It never was. This is the foundation you need before we dig deeper into what you're really giving up and why the companies offering these free services are some of the richest on the planet today. Welcome to the truth behind the myth. Chapter 2. Your data. The currency you didn't know you were spending. When most people hear data, they think of something boring and technical, a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet or anonymous stats floating somewhere in the cloud. But your data isn't just information. It's identity, it's behavior, it's patterns, it's preferences. And in the digital world, it has become the single most valuable commodity on the planet. And here's the wild part. You're giving it away for free every single day. Let's break down what that actually means. Your digital footprint is bigger than you realize. Every time you open an app, scroll a feed, search a question, pause on a video, click a link, or even hover your mouse for an extra millisecond, something is recorded. Not by accident, not occasionally, but by design. Your phone knows where you are right now. Your browser knows what you searched yesterday. Your apps know what you like, dislike, ignore, binge, buy, and avoid. And all of that becomes part of a constantly updating digital profile about you. You might think, I don't post much, so I'm safe. Nah, you don't need to post anything. Your behavior posts for you. How companies turn your life into profit. Think of your data like puzzle pieces. A single piece alone doesn't reveal much. But when platforms gather, your location patterns, your purchase history, your browsing habits, your interests, your friend/follower networks, your personality traits, your emotional responses, your late-night searches, your routines and triggers, they can assemble a near-perfect picture of who you are. This is why free services are so profitable. Advertisers don't want generic ads anymore. They want precision, laser targeting, and the platforms you use every day sell that precision. They sell access to you. Not your name, usually. Not your phone number, usually. But your behavior, which is actually worth far more than your identity. A company doesn't need to know who you are. It just needs to know how you act. Data brokers, the people you didn't know existed. Most people think Facebook, Google, TikTok, or their favorite apps are the only ones collecting data. But behind the scenes exists a massive, invisible industry, data brokers. These companies gather data from dozens, sometimes hundreds, of sources. Apps, websites, online stores, loyalty cards, public records, cookies, analytics tools. Then they combine them, refine them, and sell them to companies you've never heard of, who then sell to other companies you've never heard of, until your entire digital life has been bought and resold dozens of times. All without you ever touching your wallet. This is the real business model behind the word free. The future, predicting your behavior before you act. We're already past the stage of companies know what you like. We're now in the era of predicting what you'll buy, predicting who you'll date, predicting what you'll believe, predicting what you'll fear, predicting what you'll click, predicting what will keep you scrolling, predicting your next move before you know it. Predictive analytics is basically digital fortune telling, except it's not vague, mystical nonsense. It's backed by millions of data points collected through every swipe, tap, and pause. This is why your TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, or Spotify feeds feel like they know you. They actually do. And here's the catch. You agreed to all of it. Every except all cookies. Every sign up. Every I agree on a 47-page terms of service. You gave permission. Not intentionally. Not knowingly. But legally. Companies don't hide that they use your data. They just hide it behind complicated language and tiny buttons you click without thinking. Because who wants to read a document written like a court case before watching a video or installing an app? The real cost isn't just data, it's power. When companies know enough about you, they can influence what you see, shape what you believe, nudge your decisions, predict your weaknesses, design content that hooks your attention, create ads you're more likely to click, subtly steer your behavior. Data isn't just information, it's leverage. And every time we use a free service, that leverage grows stronger. Chapter 3. The Attention Economy, where your time is the product. If data is the currency of free digital services, then your attention is the battlefield, and every app on your phone is fighting for it like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. Most people know, vaguely, that companies want them to stay on their platforms longer. But the truth goes way deeper. Your attention isn't just something they want. It's the core of their business model. Because attention equals time, and time equals ad impressions, engagement metrics, and billions in revenue. What looks like innocent entertainment quickly reveals itself as a meticulously engineered system designed to keep you scrolling, tapping, clicking, and watching far longer than you planned. The hidden architecture of digital addiction. Let's break down what's actually happening behind the screen. Every time you open an app like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or any other social platform, an invisible army of algorithms wakes up and starts doing calculations. Their mission is simple. Keep you there. They don't care if you're tired or bored or supposed to be doing homework. They care about session time, dwell time, retention curves, and 1,000 other metrics that measure how successfully they can hold your attention hostage. That infinite scroll you know so well, it wasn't invented to make your life easier. It was invented because humans find it much harder to stop scrolling when there's no natural stopping point. No, are you sure you want to keep going? No page breaks. No pause. Just content streaming endlessly, like a conveyor belt designed to hijack your brain's reward circuitry. Which brings us to the real trick. Dopamine, the invisible hook. Every notification like comment or new post for you alert creates a tiny spark of dopamine, your brain's little loo. Something might be good. Chemical. And tech companies know this. They've studied it. They've optimized for it. The goal isn't to make you happy. The goal is to make you predict happiness. Dopamine fires strongest, not when you get a reward, but when you might get one. So platforms create variable reward systems, the same psychology that makes slot machines addictive. Sometimes your post blows up. Sometimes your FYP is boring. Sometimes you get a flood of comments. Sometimes none. That unpredictability keeps you glued, waiting for the next emotional hit. Notifications, the digital world's tap on the shoulder. And then there are the notifications, those little red dots, buzzing vibrations, and attention-grabbing banners. They don't arrive randomly. They're timed. If an app notices you haven't opened it in a while, it might nudge you with something like, someone you know just posted a story. Your friend commented on something. Don't miss this trending video. Half the time, these notifications aren't urgent. Sometimes they're not even true in the sense that you weren't tagged or mentioned. They're suggestions dressed up as social cues. Because they know that if they can get you to just open the app, the algorithm will take over from there. When engagement becomes exhaustion, even if you don't consciously notice it, these constant design choices take a toll over time. People feel more distracted, more anxious, more overwhelmed. Ever catch yourself flipping between apps without even realizing what you were looking for? Or checking your phone during moments of boredom, or even right after you just checked it? That's not you being weak. That's you responding exactly how these systems are built to make you respond. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing what it evolved to do. Follow stimuli that feel rewarding. Only now, those stimuli are engineered. Why your attention matters so much. Let's be real. Companies don't invest billions into attention-grabbing systems just for fun. They do it because your attention is insanely profitable. Every second you spend watching a video, reading a post, tapping on a notification, scrolling past an ad, engaging with content, translates into money. And because billions of people are doing this every day, the stakes are enormous. Platforms aren't just competing with each other. They're competing with your entire life. Sleep, school, hobbies, relationships, dinner, even boredom. If it doesn't involve a screen, they're fighting to pull you back from it. The emotional toll that no one talks about enough. All of this creates a very specific kind of pressure, the feeling that you always need to stay caught up. Caught up with trends, with conversations, with notifications, with content, with the algorithm itself. And when you can't, because you know you're human, there's guilt, frustration, or that weird sense of missing out. It becomes harder to focus, harder to rest, harder to be fully present in real life. None of this is your fault. It's the result of an entire economy built around extracting as much attention from you as technologically possible. Chapter 4, Privacy versus Convenience. The digital trade-off we all make. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never pause to think about. Every time you tap, allow, agree, or continue, you're entering a silent contract. Not signed with ink, not negotiated consciously, but accepted instantly in exchange for a smoother, faster, more convenient digital life. And in that moment, a tiny piece of your privacy is traded away, often without you realizing what you just gave up. This chapter is about that bargain. Why we make it, why it feels harmless, and why sometimes it's not. 1. The convenience trap. Digital convenience is intoxicating. One-tap login, autofill passwords, personalized playlists, maps that predict where you're going before you even type a destination. apps that deliver exactly what you want, sometimes before you know you want it. It's fantastic. It genuinely makes life easier. But convenience is also a very effective distraction. When something feels effortless, we stop asking questions. We stop reading terms. We stop checking permissions. We stop thinking about what we give in exchange. And tech companies know this. Human psychology always leans toward the easiest path. If an app hands us convenience wrapped in a shiny interface, we take it quickly. And that's how the trade begins. 2. What privacy really means and why we undervalue it. Most people think privacy is about hiding something. That's not true at all. Privacy is about control over your identity, your choices, your boundaries, and your digital presence. But here's why people undervalue it. You don't feel the loss immediately. The consequences are invisible at first. Privacy violations aren't painful until they are. It's hard to imagine something going wrong until it does. Convenience is instant. Privacy loss is delayed. Our brains always choose the thing we feel now. 3. The scandals that woke people up briefly. Several big digital privacy incidents shocked the world. Data breaches, hacked accounts, sold information, apps secretly recording audio or tracking location even when turned off. People panicked, trended hashtags, posted, "I'm deleting this app," and then, slowly, went right back to using the same products. Why? Because convenience creeps back, and because the digital world has become unavoidable. But that doesn't mean we're powerless. It just means we need awareness and strategy. 4. The hidden risks behind the everyday tap. Every free service asks you for something. Here's what your convenience often costs. Apps track your location to build a behavioral profile. Browsers save your search habits to refine ad targeting. Smart assistants record snippets to improve services. Social platforms map your social circle, interests, and emotional patterns. Anonymous data can often be traced back to individuals. This isn't evil, it's the business model. But for you, the risks stack up. Your identity becomes a data commodity. Your digital habits shape what you see and what you don't see. Companies you've never heard of gain insight into your life. Mistakes or leaks can expose sensitive details. Convenience always charges a fee. You just don't pay with money. 5. How to reclaim your boundaries without losing your tech. You don't need to quit the internet. You just need to upgrade how you use it. Here's how you take back some control. Heavy checkmark limit permissions. Most apps don't need everything they ask for. Disable location unless necessary. Stop apps from always running. Heavy checkmark used privacy-respecting alternatives. Search engines, browsers, email tools. There are better options than people realize. Heavy checkmark turn off personalized ads. Most platforms allow this deep inside their settings. Heavy checkmark log out occasionally. A surprising amount of tracking comes from being constantly signed in. Heavy checkmark review your accounts every few months. Delete apps you don't use. Close old logins. Refresh passwords. Small moves, big impact. You're not trying to hide. You're trying to own your digital footprint. 6. The real goal, balance. Privacy versus convenience isn't a war. It's a negotiation. You don't have to reject technology. You just have to stop giving it blind trust. When you understand the trade you're making, you make better choices. You see the free service for what it really is. And you walk into the digital world with clarity instead of confusion. That's the whole point of this chapter. Awareness gives you the power to choose, not react. Chapter 5. Empowering your digital choices. Taking back control in a free world. By this point, you've seen the illusion of free, the value of your data, the battle for your attention, and the subtle privacy trade-offs hidden inside everyday convenience. But now we shift from awareness to action, from being a passive digital consumer to an intentional digital decision-maker. This chapter is about reclaiming your power, not by abandoning the online world, but by learning how to navigate it smarter than most people ever will. Because the truth is simple. You don't need to fear technology. You just need to understand it and use it on your terms. 1. The moment you realize you're not powerless. Most people feel like digital platforms are these massive giants they can't influence or protect themselves from. But that's not true. Not even close. You get to choose what apps you install, what permissions you allow, what platforms get access to you, what data you hand over, what content you feed your brain, what habits you build online. The problem is nobody ever taught people to think of these decisions as real choices. Most people tap agree like they're ordering fast food, quick, automatic, thoughtless. But once you see the exchange clearly, everything changes. You stop being a product. You start being a participant. The balance shifts. 2. Start with one simple question. What am I giving up in exchange for this convenience? This question alone can transform your digital life. Every app, every service, every website wants something from you. Some want access to your attention. Some want your data. Some want your habits. Some want your money. Eventually, when you pause for just 3 seconds to ask yourself this question, you shift into a mindset most people never use. You become intentional. You become aware. You become harder to exploit. And here's the best part. This awareness doesn't slow you down. It sharpens you. 3. Practical moves that actually make a difference. No scare tactics. No extreme lifestyle changes. Just smart, simple, effective things anyone can do. A. Limit what apps can see. Most apps don't need your camera, your microphone, your location, your contacts, your photos. 99% of the time, these permissions are unnecessary. Turning them off doesn't break your life. It protects it. B. Use privacy-focused tools. They're way better now. Things like browsers designed not to track you, email services that don't scan your messages, search engines that don't store your queries. These aren't tech nerd tools anymore. They're mainstream and powerful. C. Break the algorithm's grip. Turn off autoplay. Disable personalized ads. Limit recommendations. Clear your watch history occasionally. You'll suddenly notice how much calmer and clearer your digital experience becomes. D. Check your digital footprint regularly. Every few months, ask, what accounts do I still use? What apps do I still need? What data am I still giving away? Treat it like cleaning your room. The longer you wait, the more overwhelming it feels. 4. The real skill, digital self-defense. This isn't about hacking or cybersecurity. It's about understanding 3 core things. 1. Awareness. Know what's being collected, why, and how. 2. Boundaries. Decide what you're okay sharing and what you're not. 3. Habits. Practice small behaviors that keep you in control. This skill is becoming just as important as reading or writing, because the digital world is woven into everything: work, school, entertainment, relationships, identity. If you don't manage your digital life, someone else will. 5. Ethical alternatives. Voting with your choices. Every time you choose a platform that values privacy, every time you disable tracking, every time you refuse unnecessary permissions, you're sending a message. You're rewarding companies that prioritize transparency. You're supporting platforms that don't exploit users. You're nudging the digital world toward fairness. Your choices matter more than you think. Because companies don't change because they want to. They change when users begin demanding better. 6. The power of asking for transparency. One of the biggest missing pieces in digital culture is user curiosity. When people don't ask questions, companies don't give answers. But when users start asking, why do you need this permission? Where does my data go? Can I opt out? What do you track and why? It creates pressure, and companies notice. Tech evolves in the direction users push it. And right now, more people than ever are pushing for privacy, honesty, and control. You're part of that shift just by caring enough to look deeper. 7. The end goal, digital confidence. Not fear, not paranoia, not total withdrawal from the online world. Just confidence. Confidence that you understand the exchange. Confidence that you can protect your privacy. Confidence that you can enjoy digital convenience without being consumed by it. Confidence that you are in control, not drifting blindly through your apps and feeds. When you reach that point, the digital world becomes something entirely different. Not a trap, not a threat, but a tool. One you control, not the other way around. Chapter 6. Rethinking Free, Shaping the Future of the Digital World. By now, you've peeled back the layers of the so-called free digital universe. You've seen how your data becomes currency, how your attention becomes a battleground, how convenience quietly trades places with privacy, and how intentional choices can shift the balance back in your favor. But all of this leads to a bigger question. Where is this ecosystem heading, and what role do you play in shaping that future? Because the digital world isn't static. It's evolving. And whether you realize it or not, you're part of the forces steering that evolution. This chapter is about understanding the larger landscape, the long-term implications, the future trends, and the hidden shifts already underway, so you can navigate tomorrow's digital world with clarity, not confusion. 1. The digital economy is shifting under our feet. For over a decade, free has been the default business model of the internet. Free email, free social media, free messaging apps, free cloud storage. But this model isn't sustainable forever, and tech companies know it. We're entering a new era where privacy matters more to users. Regulators are stepping in. Subscription models are rising. Data collection is being challenged. AI is reshaping the value of user information. The companies that built empires on free, funded by aggressive data harvesting, are being forced to evolve. What comes next won't look like the internet you grew up with. 2. The rise of paid alternatives and why they're not a bad thing. Let's be real. Nobody loves paying for things they used to get for free. But here's the plot twist. Paid digital services often cost less in the long run. Not financially, but psychologically. No. Tracking, targeted ads, data profiling, relentless notifications, manipulation for engagement tactics. You're paying with money instead of your brain, your habits, your peace. And as more people realize this, demand grows for encrypted email, private search engines, subscription-based social apps, local/offline tools, ad-free platforms. This shift is already happening, not loudly but steadily. It's the beginning of a digital environment where you choose what you trade, instead of having that choice made for you. 3. The new social contract of technology. For years, the digital exchange was one-sided. You get a free service. We get everything else. But users are waking up, and the expectations are changing. The emerging social contract looks more like, we'll use your platform, but you must be transparent, ethical, and respectful of our data. This new mindset is driving privacy laws, user rights initiatives, data deletion tools, tracking restrictions, accountability from tech giants. People aren't blindly accepting terms anymore. They're demanding clarity. They're pushing back. And whether companies like it or not, they're being forced to play by new rules. 4. AI, the next frontier of hidden costs. Everything you've read so far, multiply it by 10 when AI enters the equation. AI isn't just trained on your data, it learns from your patterns. Your searches, habits, preferences, voice, behavior, emotional responses become fuel for algorithms that grow more accurate, more persuasive, and more capable. The hidden costs of the future may not be about giving away data, but about giving away predictability. Companies won't just know who you are. They'll know what you're likely to do next. Understanding this shift now gives you an advantage most people will never have. 5. Digital minimalism is becoming a competitive advantage. This isn't about deleting everything and living like a monk. It's about clarity. When you control what apps you allow in your life, when you protect your attention, when you only use services that respect your privacy, when you limit digital noise, you gain something priceless: mental bandwidth. And in a world designed to fragment your focus, mental bandwidth becomes a superpower. Clearer thinking, better problem solving, stronger discipline, less stress, more intentional living. While most people drown in notifications, ads, and digital junk, you operate sharper, calmer, and more strategic. This is the quiet advantage of digital awareness. 6. You're not just a user, you're a stakeholder. This is the part most people underestimate. Your choices influence companies in ways you don't see. When you disable tracking, choose privacy-friendly apps, avoid manipulative platforms, unsubscribe, question terms, pick paid options, support ethical alternatives, you're not just protecting yourself. You're sending signals to the whole digital market. Companies watch user behavior obsessively. Every click, every install, every uninstall, every shift in preference shapes corporate strategy. Your decisions ripple outward into the next version of the internet. Never forget that. 7. The future, a digital world that works with you, not against you. The goal isn't to escape technology. It's to evolve with it while staying in control. The future internet will likely include transparent data exchanges, user-owned platforms, decentralized alternatives, privacy by default systems, AI that can be personalized without surveillance, digital environments designed for well-being, not addiction. But these things don't create themselves. They're built because users demand them. And you're part of the group shaping what comes next. 8. Closing thoughts. Awareness is the first revolution. You don't need to be a cybersecurity expert. You don't need to avoid technology. You don't need to delete social media and live in a cabin. You just need to be aware. That alone puts you ahead of the majority. Because the digital world only feels powerful when people don't understand it. But once you see the exchange, once you understand what you're giving and what you're getting, the fear dissolves, the fog lifts, and you start navigating with intention. The future of the digital landscape belongs to people who make conscious choices. People like you, not because you avoid the digital world, but because you understand it better than most. Chapter 7. The Psychology of Free, Why We Fall for It Every Time. Even after everything you've learned so far, there's a question lingering in the background. If the costs of free digital services are so real, why do we keep using them without thinking twice? The answer isn't stupidity, carelessness, or laziness. It's psychology. These platforms are engineered to tap into deep cognitive biases, ancient survival instincts that quietly override logic and push us toward choices we think we're making freely. This chapter exposes the invisible psychological mechanisms that make free so irresistible, and how to break out of them so you can make digital decisions from a place of clarity, not instinct. 1. The irresistible allure of zero cost. Humans are wired to love anything labeled free. Even when something costs very little, we still prefer the option that appears to cost nothing. Why? Because free removes risk. No money, no loss, no fear of making a bad decision. The moment something feels risk-free, our brain relaxes and our critical thinking shuts down. Digital companies know this. That's why they don't say, pay with your data. They say, sign up, it's free. One tiny psychological lever opens the door to massive behavior patterns. 2. The convenience trap. Your brain loves easy choices. Modern brains hate friction. Every additional step, every field to fill in, every decision to make, drains a tiny bit of mental energy. But free apps? They remove the friction. One-click sign-up, instant access, no credit card, no thinking required. Your brain interprets this as good, safe, yes. Convenience wins. Reflection loses. This pattern repeats across all digital platforms. Want free storage? Just click. Want a free email? Just click. Want a free account? Just click. The easier the path, the faster we take it, even when it leads somewhere we wouldn't consciously choose. 3. The attention loop. why you keep coming back. Even after we understand the hidden costs, we still return to free services. Why? Because they're designed to be irresistible. Algorithms track what engages your brain the most, then feed it back to you in an endless loop. Notifications, personalized recommendations, tailored feeds, curated content, rewarding dopamine hits. Your brain forms micro-addictions to tiny moments of digital pleasure. You don't stay because of the value. You stay because of the stimulation. Free isn't the price. It's the bait. 4. The normalization effect. Everyone's doing it. One of the strongest psychological forces humans follow: social proof. If everyone uses the same apps, shares the same platforms, signs the same privacy agreements, accepts the same intrusive data policies, tolerates the same ads, then it no longer feels like a choice. It feels normal, and the more normal something feels, the less likely we are to question it. Digital culture thrives on this. If you're not on the same platform as everyone else, you feel left out, disconnected, or behind. That sense of social fear keeps billions of people locked into platforms they know are extracting enormous value from them. 5. The illusion of control. I'm not the target. Here's one of the most dangerous psychological traps: believing you're too smart to be influenced. Most people think, I don't fall for ads. My data isn't important. I'm not interesting enough to track. I have nothing to hide. I'm in control. But the platforms aren't targeting your intelligence. They're targeting your subconscious patterns. You don't need to be interesting for your data to be valuable. You just need to be predictable. Influence isn't about manipulating what you think. It's about shaping what you do without you noticing. And the moment you believe you're immune, you're the easiest to influence. 6. The trust shortcut. Familiarity creates comfort. When a platform becomes part of your daily routine, it earns a silent trust. Not because the company is trustworthy, but because the experience is familiar. Your brain equates familiarity with safety. So even when you hear, this service sells your data, this app tracks your location, this company was involved in a privacy scandal, the emotional part of your mind whispers, but I've used it for years. It's fine. I've never had a problem. This is how free services survive scandals that would ruin any other industry. You trust what feels familiar, even if you shouldn't. 7. The fear of missing out, the ultimate digital hook. FOMO isn't just a social media problem. It's a business model. Platforms exploit it masterfully. Your friends are here. Don't miss updates. Everyone uses this app. New features you need to try. Stay connected always. You feel like if you leave, you're losing something. Access, convenience, community, information, entertainment, relevance. This fear keeps users locked in long after they understand the trade-off. FOMO turns digital platforms into psychological cages. Comfortable, addicting, and invisible. 8. Breaking the spell. Awareness is your first shield. You don't have to delete every app. You don't have to avoid the digital world. You don't have to become a technology hermit. You just need to recognize the psychological levers at play. Once you understand them, they lose their power. Free doesn't automatically mean valuable. Convenience doesn't always mean right choice. Familiarity isn't the same as safety. Popularity doesn't equal trustworthiness. Personal immunity is a myth. Awareness gives you back the one thing digital platforms don't want you to have: choice. Real, intentional choice. The kind that makes you a user, not a commodity. Chapter 8. Taking back control. Practical steps to reduce your invisible digital costs. By now, you understand the illusion of free, the hidden currencies you're paying with, and the psychological traps that make these services nearly impossible to resist. But awareness alone isn't enough. Not if every app, every platform, every notification is designed to pull you right back into the cycle. This chapter isn't about deleting everything and running off to live in a cabin. It's about regaining intentional control in a world engineered to silently take it from you. Think of this chapter as your digital resistance plan. Simple, realistic steps that give you the benefits of modern convenience without handing over your privacy, attention, or autonomy. Let's get into it. 1. Map your digital landscape, the audit you've been avoiding. Before you can change anything, you've got to see the battlefield clearly. Take 5 minutes and list the apps you use daily, the websites you rely on, the free tools you signed up for years ago, anything you've given permission to even once. Here's what usually shocks people. You'll realize you've granted dozens, sometimes hundreds, of apps access to your microphone, location, camera, contacts, browsing history, cloud storage, photos, files, behavior patterns, all because of a single tap on Allow. This audit isn't about deleting everything. It's about waking up to what you've connected your life to, because you can't protect what you don't see. 2. The attention firewall. Redesign your digital environment. Every platform wants the same thing. Your attention, your most limited and valuable resource. So you build a firewall. Not a technical one, a psychological one. Here's how. Turn off non-essential notifications. If it's not directly improving your life or your responsibilities, turn it off. Your phone buzzing all day is not communication, it's manipulation. Remove addictive apps from your home screen. You'll be shocked how many urges disappear when the icon isn't staring at you. Use Do Not Disturb during work blocks. If someone urgently needs you, they'll call twice. Everything else can wait. Batch your screen time intentionally. Your phone should serve you, not interrupt you. These small shifts instantly reclaim hours of mental clarity. 3. Upgrade your privacy. Micro changes with huge impact. Most digital privacy improvements don't require big sacrifices, just smarter defaults. Switch to privacy-first browsers. Brave, Firefox, DuckDuckGo, they block tracking by default. Use an encrypted email provider. ProtonMail, Tutanota, etc. Gmail is free for a reason. Limit data permissions on your apps. Deny access unless absolutely necessary. Most apps work perfectly fine without your location, contacts, or photos. Regularly clear your digital footprint. Your search history is not your friend. These small habits dramatically reduce how much of your life becomes data fuel for advertisers. 4. Replace, don't reject. Ethical alternatives exist. You don't have to quit the digital world. You just need to choose smarter tools. Examples: Google DuckDuckGo /Brave Search, Dropbox Trezorit, Chrome Firefox, WhatsApp Signal, Google Docs, Notion /Obsidian, depending on needs. Many ethical tools are as good as, sometimes better than, the free ones. Your goal isn't perfection. It's intentionality. 5. Stop feeding the machine. Reduce behavioral data. Platforms don't just collect what you say or click. They collect how you behave. Scrolling speed, pause time, viewing patterns, typing rhythm, even the angle you hold your phone. You break the pattern by disrupting the inputs. Avoid endless scrolling. Algorithms can't predict a pattern you don't repeat. Don't click on emotionally charged content. Outrage, drama, controversy. These are tracking gold mines. Use guest mode when browsing. Keeps your behavior separate from your digital identity. Skip the sign in with Google/Facebook button. Convenient, yes, but it chains your accounts together for deeper cross-platform tracking. You don't have to stop using the internet. Just stop feeding the algorithm your entire personality. 6. Become unpredictable. Confuse the system. This part is fun. If you want to weaken tracking systems, break the patterns they rely on. Search random, unrelated topics occasionally. Click on different categories. Rotate between apps unpredictably. Use privacy mode for anything personal. Switch default apps often. You become a statistical anomaly, and advertisers hate statistical anomalies. Your online profile becomes blurry, confusing, and hard to predict. That's the whole point. 7. Redefine digital value. Don't accept the default exchange. Instead of asking, "How much does this cost?" start asking, "What am I paying with?" This single mindset shift changes everything. When you realize your habits, your time, your focus, your attention, your preferences, your identity are all being quietly harvested in exchange for convenience, you start making different choices. Better choices. Intentional choices. You move from passive user to informed participant. And once you start evaluating digital tools with this new lens, free stops feeling like a gift and starts looking like a transaction where you finally understand the price. Chapter 9. Rewriting the digital contract. Most people move through the digital world accepting the rules as if they were carved in stone. This is just how the internet works, they say, shrugging off privacy invasions, nonstop ads, and the creeping pressure to live online. But nothing about the digital ecosystem is natural or inevitable. It's a man-made system, one built, adjusted, and optimized by companies with specific goals. And here's the plot twist. Those goals don't always line up with yours. Chapter 9 is about reclaiming your agency. It's about rewriting the invisible contract you've been silently agreeing to for years. This is where you stop being the passive product and start being a conscious participant. The first shift, awareness, autonomy. For years, digital platforms have relied on one huge advantage. Most users don't realize what they're giving away. Once you understand the trade, your data, your attention, your behavior patterns, everything changes. You begin making decisions on purpose rather than out of habit. Suddenly, you're not just tapping allow to every pop-up permission. You're not casually linking apps to your social accounts. You're not shrugging off suspiciously personalized ads. Awareness turns into autonomy the moment you start asking a simple question. What am I exchanging, and is the trade worth it? This mental shift alone breaks half of the influence loops companies rely on. The second shift, convenience, conscious choice. Digital services thrive on frictionless design. They make everything so easy that you never think twice. One tap to sign up, one swipe to accept, one button to continue with Google, 1 second for an algorithm to decide what you see next. Convenience is powerful, almost seductive, but it can also blind you to long-term consequences. Rewriting the digital contract doesn't mean rejecting convenience. It means choosing it deliberately, not automatically. Sometimes the convenient option isn't worth the hidden cost. Sometimes spending an extra 20 seconds setting something up protects you from giving away months or years of personal data. The goal isn't to make life harder. It's to make your choices smarter. The third shift, passive consumption, intentional usage. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most digital platforms are not designed to help you use them less. Notifications aren't neutral. Recommendations aren't neutral. The infinite scroll wasn't invented because developers were bored. It was engineered to keep you there longer. But once you see these systems for what they are, you can break the spell. Rewriting the digital contract means checking apps when you need to, not when your phone buzzes. Choosing what to watch instead of letting autoplay decide. Setting your own limits instead of letting algorithms set them for you. Turning off features that were created for their benefit, not yours. The moment your usage becomes intentional, your experience becomes healthier. The fourth shift, being tracked, being aware of your rights. Most people don't know this, but you actually have rights in the digital space. The ability to refuse tracking, delete your data, demand transparency, and control what companies store about you. Many platforms count on the average user not knowing these tools even exist. Rewriting the digital contract involves understanding what opt-in versus opt-out really means. Reading the small toggle switches that hide behind advanced settings. Using privacy dashboards that companies quietly offer but never highlight. Exercising your right to delete history or disconnect third-party apps. Being aware that you can say no without losing access entirely. When you know your rights, companies can no longer assume your ignorance. The fifth shift, being the product, choosing the value you give. You'll never be completely invisible online, and you don't need to be. But you can choose what parts of your life you make available. Not everything needs to be uploaded. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every app needs access to your contacts, camera, location, or microphone. Rewriting the digital contract means placing a boundary between who you are as a human and who you are as a digital profile. It's deciding, this information is fine to share. This data is off limits. This app doesn't need to know where I am every second. This service isn't worth the level of access it demands. It's about becoming the author of your digital identity rather than letting companies write it for you. The final shift, from being controlled, becoming the one in control. This chapter is not about fear. It's about empowerment, the moment you take back ownership of your online life. Here's the truth. Platforms have shaped the digital world around their goals for years. But the future of the internet is shifting toward transparency, user rights, and digital independence. You're not powerless. You never were. You just weren't shown the full contract. Now that you can see it clearly, you get to decide how to sign it, or whether you want to renegotiate entirely. This chapter marks the moment you stop playing by the default rules and start setting your own. Chapter 10. Your digital future starts with one choice. By now, you've peeled back layers of the modern internet most people never even question. You've seen how free comes with hidden price tags. You've learned how data becomes currency, how attention becomes a battlefield, and how convenience quietly becomes a compromise. But the final chapter isn't about fear, warning, or blame. It's about ownership, about realizing that the future of your digital life isn't predetermined. It's something you shape day by day, tap by tap, choice by choice. This chapter is where everything you've learned turns into power. The moment of clarity. At some point on your digital journey, you reach a crossroads, a moment where everything slows down and you see the truth for what it is. You're not fighting technology. You're learning how to live alongside it. Digital platforms weren't designed to be villains. They were designed to grow, scale, attract users, and make revenue. And users, well, we were designed to seek convenience, connection, entertainment, and speed. The problem was never the tools. It was the imbalance between what companies wanted and what users understood. Now you understand, and that changes everything. The transformation begins in subtle ways. Real empowerment doesn't start with huge revolutions. It starts with tiny decisions, decisions so small you barely notice them, yet powerful enough to rewrite your future. It's choosing to turn off one unnecessary notification, to review one privacy setting, to uninstall one data-hungry app, to read one permission request instead of blindly accepting, to pause before clicking Allow or Sign in with Google, to use alternative platforms that align with your values. These little decisions stack. Over time, they form a blueprint for a healthier, safer, more intentional digital life. You'd be surprised how quickly your online world starts feeling lighter, calmer, and more in your control. Building your digital identity on your terms. One of the most powerful lessons in this entire journey is something most people never realize. Your digital identity is one of your most valuable assets. It's not just your data. It's not just your habits. It's not just your search history or profile picture. It's the story of how you live your life online. A story that should belong to you, not to algorithms that are trying to predict you. Chapter 10 is the moment you reclaim authorship of that story. From now on, you choose what version of yourself you share, what platforms deserve your trust, which apps get access to your world, which companies get to interact with your information, how much of your attention you're willing to give away. You stop being a character written into someone else's business model. You become the narrator of your own digital experience. The new internet you help create. One person making smarter choices might sound small, but it's not. Every shift in digital culture begins with a handful of people who become aware, who demand more, who who refuse to settle. When users take ownership of their online lives, companies are forced to become more transparent. Laws shift toward user rights. Privacy becomes a priority, not an afterthought. Ethical design gains value. Manipulative patterns get exposed. Better alternatives start thriving. The digital future isn't shaped by corporations alone. It's shaped by millions of individual decisions, including yours. Every choice you make builds momentum. Your final takeaway: you're not trapped in the system, you influence it. You began this journey thinking the online world was a fixed landscape, something you had to adapt to, accept, endure. But here's the real conclusion. The digital world adapts to you. Your behavior shapes what thrives. Your choices influence what grows. Your awareness changes what companies can get away with. You're not just a user. You're a participant, a contributor, a force. And now that you understand the true cost behind free, you also understand your true power. This final chapter isn't an ending. It's an invitation. An invitation to build your own digital contract. An invitation to choose your values. An invitation to navigate online spaces with clarity and confidence. An invitation to set a new standard for the world you interact with every day. Your digital future isn't waiting on a platform update or a new privacy policy. It begins with your next choice. And that choice is yours.